A New York-based psychologist, Dr. Julie Kuriansky, is making a strong push for member states of the United Nations to update their basic school curriculum to include disaster risk reduction courses. According to her, the call, which is strongly supported and being pursued by the United Nations, is the surest way of reorienting the next generation to sustainable ways of managing the environment by building resilient communities. Now, Dr. Kuriansky said this at an exclusive interview with Joy News' Latif Iddris at the recently ended Global Platform in Geneva, Switzerland. There's more in this report.
The Sendai Framework is a 15-year, voluntary, non-binding agreement which recognizes that the state has the primary role to reduce disaster risk. The framework also recognizes that the responsibility of reducing disaster should be shared with other stakeholders, including local government and the private sector. The meeting in Japan in 2015 and the subsequent framework is targeted at helping nations to formulate practical risk-informed sustainable development policies to reduce the impacts of the looming and more threatening disasters as predicted in the 2019 Global Assessment Report.
In the context of this changing environment, which has been brought so clearly to us, the sense of urgency coming through other processes to which the risk reduction community is seeking to engage, including on the IPCC special report on 1 degree, 1.5 degrees warming, that time is running out and that non-linear change is a reality that we all live with. And this causes us to review and reflect upon how do we try to understand our future. The way in which traditionally we have drawn upon the past as a reliable guide to the future can no longer be relied upon to the same degree of confidence.
In an interview with Joy News, a New York-based psychologist, Dr. Julie Kuriansky, called on governments to incorporate disaster risk reduction content in their country's educational curriculum to reorient the next generation to be environmentally conscious.
There are some games that have been made that are board games that kids can play just like any other game. But this needs to be incorporated into school systems everywhere to teach children how to cope with disaster, how to find ways to feel better about themselves, and for the schools to provide that. And this is especially important, not just in the cities.
The Global Assessment Report states that Africa is among one of the continents that could be hit the hardest when disaster strikes. In view of that harsh reality, the African Union developed a 10-point commitment at the 2019 Global Platform to facilitate the achievement of the 7 global targets and 4 priorities for action as captured in the Sendai Framework. Speaking to disaster risk reduction journalist Dr. Godfrey Bahigwa says the continent has identified the vision in the Sendai Framework and is committed to implementing it at the continental level.
There is a program of action for Africa for the implementation of the Sendai Framework, so strengthening institutional capacity. Number 2 is the issue of ensuring that the policies and strategies for disaster risk reduction are embedded in national implementation plans. Only when they are in national development plans can we be sure that they can actually be implemented.
Ghana is also following the lead of the African Union Commission by constituting a governing council to localize and implement a Sendai Framework-informed disaster management.
In 2015, there was this program that we had in Ghana as well, following the Sendai Framework. From here, we will look at how to implement the 3% very well. We have the MMDCs now as a result of the Sendai Framework. Now we have a regional disaster management committee. We have metropolitan, municipal, and district disaster management committees at a local level.
So the Global Platform 2019 has rounded up here in Geneva, Switzerland, with a lot of commitments made by governments across the globe, including the government of Ghana, to ensure the implementation of the Sendai framework in their various countries. It is, however, the expectation of the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction that these commitments are not left on the books, but implemented at the continental, the regional, and the national level to save communities in the world. From Geneva, Switzerland, this is Latif Iddris reporting for Joy News.